Hey folks, everything new under the sun. All right, we're starting to see Bible prophecy come to pass in many different ways. One of those ways, actually, which is fascinating to me, is the turning of Turkey away from NATO. Everybody was wondering when that was going to happen. Of course, Turkey is a member of NATO right now. So to think that in Ezekiel 38 that they would turn against NATO and who is an ally of Israel and supports Israel, to see them turn against Israel and to join Russia, again, the enemy of NATO, and Iran, the enemy of NATO, is very fascinating. Now, you're looking at a map of the countries involved in the GOG MAGOG invasion. If we look at Ezekiel 38, we can see here, this is BibleHistory.com. Ezekiel 38, behold, I am against you, Gog, prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. I will turn you around and put hooks into your jaws, and I will bring you out with all your army, horses, and horsemen, all of them clothed in full armor, a great company with buckler and shield, and all of them handling swords. And this could be very much a post-apocalyptic world of sorts, where literally they have swords, actual swords and shields and bucklers, and horsemen. Or it could be symbolic of something else, just simply weapons and modes of transfer and that sort of thing. I prefer to take the Bible literally as much as possible, so it would be interesting to see. But if nuclear war happened and electromagnetic pulses happened to take out all vehicles, they likely would be arriving on horses with swords and that sort of thing. However, that being said, guns and ammunition don't have computer chips, so you would think there would be still guns and ammunition in this case. Nonetheless, let's proceed. Verse 5 says, Persia, Cush, and put with them all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his hordes, and the house of Togarma in the uppermost parts of the north. Let me go back to this image here. So Persia, you see Persia on there in the pink. That is Iran, of course. They were called Iran until very recently. They're called Persia until very recently. Persia, Cush, put with them all with shield and helmet, Gomer, all his hordes, house of Togarma, and that is going to refer to at least part of Turkey. In the uppermost parts of the north, all the hordes, even many peoples with you. Be prepared, yes, yourself, you and all your companies who are assembled to you, and be guard unto them. So in the latter days, the Lord's going to bring them back. It says, after many days you will be visited. In the latter days you will come into the land that is brought back from the sword. This is talking about Israel and the Jews coming back into the land. That is gathered out of many peoples. The Jews were gathered out of many peoples, the diaspora, right? And they formed a nation in 1948 in a day. On the mountains of Israel, it says, this is verse 8, which have been in a continual waste, but it is brought out of the peoples, and they will dwell securely, all of them. So when there's a security, when they're dwelling safely in the land, this is when this group of nations comes against them. So that's what we see in Ezekiel 38. Now, where's my proof that Ezekiel 38 is coming to pass? Well, it's interesting. Let's take a look. This is Wikipedia. Turkey has been a member of NATO since 1952. So they're on the side of the quote-unquote good guys, right? The West, the U.S., Canada, Australia, Britain, all the European nations against Russia, against China, against Iran, against all these other nations that are supposedly the enemies of NATO. So Turkey is on the side of the good guys right now, right? Well, there is a slow move to getting closer and closer to Russia and Iran. And if we believe Ezekiel 38, then Turkey, that nation, has to turn away from the West, turn away from NATO, and join Russia and Iran. So do we see that in the news? Well, it says Turkey yearned to be to become a member of NATO because it wanted security against potential invasion by who? Well, the Soviet Union at the time, which is interesting. It says in 1948, Turkey began indicating its desire for NATO membership. And throughout 1948 and 1949, American officials responded negatively towards Turkish requests for inclusion. And why is this important? Well, there's a bunch of NATO bases in Turkey. Incirlik Air Base has been a military air base since 1950s. It was built between 1951 and 52 by the U.S. military. In the base are stationed an estimated 50 nuclear weapons. Now, if this is true, Turkey then, if they were to turn to the other side, the quote-unquote enemies, they might take with them, potentially 50 nuclear warheads, maybe more, maybe none. Maybe the U.S. doesn't have them anymore. I don't know. I'm just taking this Wikipedia article for what it says. But it goes on. So Turkey may leave NATO with nuclear weapons, which would be helpful in World War III. Wouldn't it? Interesting. The Kona Air Base was established in 1983 and hosts AWACS surveillance. So NATO, Europe, the West would lose a bunch of surveillance jets if Turkey said, you know what, that's it. These jets can't leave anymore. This is World War III. Since December 2012, the headquarters of NATO land forces has been located in Bucha, near Izmir, on the Aegean Sea. So a significant amount of NATO is in Turkey and using Turkey really as a land base for the Middle East. The Allied Air Command for Southern Europe was also based in Bucha between 2004 and 2013. Since 2012, the Kurisuk radar station, located 500 kilometers from Iran, is in service as part of the NATO defense system. So if Turkey turns, that would remove this radar base from the use of NATO against Iran. That is a very interesting thing. So Iran would certainly want Turkey to be on their side. Russia would certainly want Turkey to be on their side. So there's going to be money involved. There's going to be all sorts of persuasion to really turn Turkey towards the other side and not the West. And of course, we know Islam has been rising significantly. They used to be a secular country. Turkey was a very, kind of democratic, very Western, if you will, for many, many years through, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, etc. But they are turning a more Islamic, more hardcore rule by Islamic people like Erdogan. Now, so do we see current news that they are turning away from NATO? Well, we do, actually. This is interesting. This is War News 247. Turkish officials preparing for World War III front in the Middle East. NATO plan to establish Kurdistan and join Armenia. So Turkey thinks that NATO has a plan to effectively make another landmass as a front line for weaponry, for troops, whatever it may be, against Russia in cooperation with the northern part of Syria, and northern part of Iraq, and Armenia. It says, Turkish media citing information from officials are essentially talking about a struggle for the survival of Turkey and other countries in the event that a third world war officially breaks out. In the context, the Turkish military defense, in cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is taking the following actions: establishing a joint operations center with Iraq, who basically is the enemy right now, offering cooperation to Iran. Again, Iran and NATO are opposite, right? Iran's a bad guy, right? Well, Turkey's reaching out to Iran. He makes a proposal of cooperation to Assad in Syria, requesting reinstatement of the Treaty of Adana. The Turkish people realize, and at least the government, realize that in the event of World War III, Israel, U.S., and several European countries will attempt to create a Kurdish state as a deterrent and separation of Eurasian and NATO forces in the region. NATO invited Armenia to participate in the summit. Once Yerevan leaves the CSTO, the Kurdish state is established, then Turkey will be useless to the Atlantic Alliance. So really, Turkey sees the writing on the wall. They know they're a pawn to be played in World War III, and so they are basically turning over to the other side. Let's see. Turkey has repeatedly tried to help and end conflicts, but the West has canceled its efforts. So Turkey has tried to be a powerful nation in the Middle East, but the West has other goals, right? There's a lot of money, there's a lot of incentive to do other things, and Turkey has been left out, and so they haven't been cooperating very much with NATO recently, that's for sure. And they know that. And so they're going to go to whomever is going to cooperate with them, right? Which right now is going to be Russia, is going to be Iran, is likely going to be China. And they're going to take with it a lot of American bases, nuclear weapons, radar systems, and intelligence bases and hardware. So that's huge. So this is a zero hedge. Putin and Erdogan discuss Syria rapprochement to squeeze out Pentagon occupation. So Erdogan, now you see Assad there of Syria and Erdogan, but Erdogan is talking to Putin. He's working with Putin of Rosh, Magog, and Gog, the leader of Magog, to come together and basically go up against the West. They're trying to squeeze out the Western occupation in Syria. So we are seeing the alliance of Ezekiel 38 really come into focus here, where Turkey has been and is now in the mainstream media really turning away from NATO. Very interesting. So when does NATO cancel its membership? Well, that would probably be at the kickoff of World War III. And the U.S. better and NATO better get its hardware out of Turkey if they know what's coming. If they know Bible prophecy, because they know Turkey's going to go to the other side and possibly take all the weapons, hardware, and monitoring devices with them, radar, hardware, military defense, etc., air defense, I guess, and such. During ongoing Shanghai Cooperation Organization annual summit, which was held in Kazakhstan, Russia's Putin and Turkey's Erdogan publicly broached the subject of a potential Turkey rapprochement with the Syrian government of Bashar Assad. The two have been in a de facto state of war over a decade, with Turkish troops still occupying parts of northern Syria. And after relations were cut in 2011, upon the start of the war, Turkey was foremost among NATO allies, pushing regime change, which involved covert support to ISIS. Yes, that's right. ISIS was supported by the West, effectively manufactured ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other jihadist insurgents. So it was the West that financially supported these terrorist groups that we then had to go in and take out, right, folks? I hope you know the truth on that one. Recently, Ankara's priorities have shifted as it seeks. Well, let me go here. Recently, Ankara's priorities have shifted as it seeks to root out Syrian Kurdish paramilitary groups in Syria, as well as squeeze out U.S. troop presence. So if Turkey really was on board with NATO, they would want U.S. troop presence there because they would be allied and working towards the same goals, right? But they're not. The Pentagon has long backed the Kurds and their aspirations for an autonomous region, but Assad and Erdogan agree that the U.S. occupation must end immediately. So we see Putin, Erdogan, Assad, and the leader of Iran as a whole coming together, which is part of Ezekiel 38, the nations that are going to come against Israel in Ezekiel 38. The hook in the jaw is going to be, they're going to be drawn down into there at a time when Israel is supposedly at peace. What does that peace exactly mean? What's the context of it? What is it relative to? Peace relative to what? I don't know. But they are a very strong nation right now, and generally they live in peace, although with the recent terrorist activities, that could very well be argued. But apparently there will come a time when they decide they're at peace, and all the nations recognize that there's a lot of peace happening, and then this group of nations will come against Israel when they think Israel is at peace. So fascinating stuff. We're watching Bible prophecy kind of revealed right before our eyes. Ezekiel 38 coming to fruition here. I definitely recommend you go read Ezekiel 38. I think it gives us kind of a layout of what's going to happen in terms of future events against Israel, and it gives you an indication of when, as it relates to Israel being a land of unwalled villages and being at peace in the land. And so when you look for that peace, when you look for that lack of border walls, if you will, that could give you a good timeline as to when this is going to occur and to keep watching for it. So I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled before our eyes. I hope you know the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. He's coming again soon, but I think hard times are going to come before that. So be prepared to find Jesus Christ.